Toronto Blue Jays fall to the New York Yankees 10-3, and it was a pretty unfortunate game where the pitching struggled a lot and most of the hitters struggled, but there were a couple of standouts in today's game. And we also have Otto Lopez crushing a 3-run home run in the World Baseball Classic, which was super exciting. It got some competitive baseball back on the table, and it was overall just a super exciting day. So we're going to break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? Nick Gosse, your host of Jays Digest. And before we do get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. You guys' support has been unbelievable in the pregame show, in the videos. They've all been great. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. And let's just get right into it. And we have a lot to cover today. And it was a pretty crazy day. So let's get into the first topic, which is Varsho plays well. Now, we lost 10-3 to the New York Yankees in a game that unfortunately was not televised today. It was not televised, but it was on the radio. And of course, Ben Wagner and all those guys at the radio do a phenomenal job. Now, again, it was a pretty rough game. The pitching struggled a lot from what we could tell. Obviously, we couldn't watch the game, so it's kind of hard to make some crazy judgments, but the pitching struggled a lot, and Drew Hutchison went out there and just did a horrible job, unfortunately, and the bullpen did not do great either. But let's focus on Dalton Varsho, among others, a little bit. So I'll pop up the box score here. Now, the box score is broken down into two parts because of how many defensive substitutions there were, but let's just go through and look at the hitters. So Springer went 1 for 4. Varsho went 1 for 3. Gabriel Martinez went 1 for 1. Of course, Chapman went 0 for 4. You have Denny Jansen, who went 1 for 2. And Kevin Kiermaier, who we'll also touch on, going 2 for 3. But let's focus on Dalton Varsho for a second. He has brought his spring average up to 233 today with his 1 hit and 1 RBI. And he laced a double. I don't remember what inning it was, but he had an RBI double. And like Peter has said, and we've discussed many times in the show, Dalton Varsho is finally starting to look very comfortable at the plate. He had a very rough start to spring where he just didn't seem comfortable, and, changing teams is a very difficult thing for any player. And he's going from Arizona to, a team that isn't really competing to the Toronto Blue Jays, who are aiming for a World Series. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, especially for, the package they gave up, which is, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., a fan favorite, and of course the top prospect, Gabriel Marino. But he's starting to look very, very good, and he laced a double today. So, and he looks solid, or he sounded solid in the field from what we could tell on the radio. But overall, just a very, very solid game at a Dalton Varsho, and it was one that was, well needed for a lot of Jays fans out there, because a lot of Jays fans are worrying a lot about Varsho. But it was great to see him, continue to bat well and continue to improve, and that's all you can really ask for out of spring training so far. But despite Dalton Varsho doing very well today, the rest of the lineup, struggled a fair bit. Again, they only put up 3 runs. Kevin Biggio went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, which was not phenomenal to see, especially after his spring training. And, he's been doing phenomenal. Danny Jansen went 1 for 3. He's only hitting 154 on the spring. But Kevin Kiermaier is someone we have to touch on again. He got 2 hits. One of them was a double, and he's hitting 545 on the year in the spring training. He has, I believe, the highest OPS on the Blue Jays, if not one of the highest. And we've discussed it in the pregame show today. A lot of you guys were out there saying that Kevin Kiermaier, if he stays healthy, is going to be a key piece to the team. And he came out and said a few days ago, maybe a week ago, whatever it was, a couple weeks ago, that he wants to be the best number 9 hitter in the league. And he's going to be our number 9 hitter. And if he can put up a healthy season, then the sky is the limit for Kevin Kiermaier. His defensive ability is there. We've seen that throughout spring. His bat has been there in the past. He had a couple of years of very solid bat, but if he can put up a 230, 240, even 250, batting average along with some, a little bit of power and just getting on the bases, stolen bases, then he will be a key asset to the team. But I'll pop up the rest of the box score here. Santiago Espinal went 0 for 3, bringing his average down to 379. And Rob Brantley, who is, of course, a catcher, is hitting 478. He got 2 hits today, and Reiner Nunez got 1 hit with 2 RBIs as he continues to play fairly well throughout the spring after his, walk-off. I believe it was double there at the start of spring training. But overall, not a great day out of the hitters, and unfortunately, it wasn't a great day out of the pitchers either. The pitching continued to struggle today throughout the game, and the pitching has been a bit of a highlight throughout the spring, so I'm not going to get too down on them, but rough game. Very, very rough game. I'll pop up the box score here. Drew Hutchison, who had a fairly decent start to the spring, went 1/3 of an inning, giving up 6 earned runs, 3 home runs. Now, if anything, this just goes to show that he might not be, in line to be our number 6 starter. I think Zach Thompson has that on lock right now, or even Mitch White, but very poor out of Drew Hutchison. We had Jay Jackson go out there and do, solid. Him and Bowden Francis, kept their ERAs on the spring at 0, and it's a tale of two tales here on the right. You can see 3 players who went into the game today now have above a 10 ERA in Thomas Hatch, Julian Fernandez, and Drew Hutchison. And if there's one bright side from today's pitching, it is Bowden Francis. And I've talked about Bowden Francis. I believe Peter's talked about Bowden Francis. He might be a dark horse to make the bullpen at some point throughout this year, and he looked very, very good today. And it's great to see him continue to do well, even when the rest of the pitching staff unfortunately struggles. But yeah, again, today's game, it wasn't televised. We had a few stars in the lineup, but despite having, we had a few stars in the lineup, but they had Garrett Cole pitching. So they had Garrett Cole. They had a lot of their prospects, a lot of their top guys. So overall, just an unfortunate game. One we'll forget about for now as we'll move on to tomorrow's game against the Pirates. But let's move on to the next topic now, which is Otto Lopez is insane. Now, if you watch the World Baseball Classic today, Team Canada played against Colombia in a must-win game. And we're not doing too much coverage of the World Baseball Classic in video format. I wanted to touch on it today. Peter did a live stream on it. We might be doing a live stream tomorrow, but this is Blue Jays related, as Otto Lopez is absolutely unbelievable. Canada was up 2-0 in the top of the 9th against Colombia and hit a 3-run home run to seal the deal and make Canada not have to use their closer in Matt Brash. But Otto Lopez has been unbelievable. He also had a triple in that game, bringing his average up to, above 250 on the World Baseball Classic. And he's a very young prospect. Not too young. He's ready to play in the in AAA and maybe the majors. But I want to pop up this screenshot here. 2 people on my feed on the Blue Jays, Jays Twitter feed saying Otto Lopez might be making the roster, the Jays opening day roster, with Jordan saying, put Otto Lopez in the Jays roster right now, please. Okay, thank you. And this was, it wasn't just these 2 tweets, tons of people, tons of Blue Jays writers, reporters, everyone saying that Otto Lopez might be that sneaky option now to get that 4th outfielder spot. And that is something we have discussed throughout camp a ton. And it's been a, hot topic, is who takes that 4th outfielder spot. And Otto Lopez, after his great performance in spring so far, his great performance in very limited sample size for the Blue Jays last year, he's looking like he could take it. He's been hitting unbelievable. He might just be the guy who goes out there, becomes our 4th outfielder, and mashes lefties, which is someone that it's a player we need. Now, we might trade for someone at the deadline to replace him, or maybe he does great. He's been unbelievable at the World Baseball Classic, and I just wanted to shout out Otto Lopez for the unbelievable home run that he hit, and it was the most hype I've gotten about a baseball game since since the Major League. So it was good to get some adrenaline back in for baseball again, and it's exciting because, the season's starting very, very soon, around 16 days away until the season starts. So it was great to see Otto Lopez go out there, and Team Canada has been continuing to play, and they play tomorrow in a must-win game against Mexico, and hopefully Otto Lopez continues to shine. But finally, the last topic, continuing on kind of the, roster theme here, is a roster update. Now, I'll pop it up right now here. It got released, I believe, yesterday, the players who got reassigned and optioned. So reassigned down to the minor league camp is Jimmy Burnett, Cam Eden, Hayden Jenger, Jamie Ritchie, Sam Roberts, Jimmy Robbins, and Ricky Tiedemann, with Hagen Danner, Spencer Horwitz, Leonardo Jimenez, Arelis Martinez, and Yasver Zuleta getting optioned. So what this essentially means is that they're being sent down. We won't see them too much now at all in these games, but a lot of people were making a big deal out of this, and especially we had our video yesterday on the Ricky Tiedemann injury, and that's kind of the biggest guy here who got sent down. You can have a look again, is Ricky Tiedemann. And some other guys in the list include Jimmy Robbins, Sam Roberts, Hayden Jenger. A lot of these guys, Jimmy Burnett, have been doing very, very well, but they did get sent down to the minor leagues, the minor league, site, which slightly unfortunate, but at the end of the day, they got to develop. And Ricky Tiedemann, one thing I want to point out here is Ricky Tiedemann was never going to start this season with the Blue Jays. It was not going to happen whether he got his injury or not. If anything, he's going to come up with the Blue Jays maybe at some point this year, maybe in September, and he might not even come up this year. We're hoping he does as Blue Jays fans. We also don't want his growth to be, stagnated at all. We don't really want to have another Nate Pearson situation, especially after the injury that happened with, Ricky Tiedemann. Now, he is still throwing. We'll have a further update on Thursday regarding him. I believe he's scheduled to throw a bullpen session at some point this week, maybe tomorrow. I believe someone in our chat said that in our pregame show today, but either way, whether he throws this week, whether he throws whenever, as long as he's healthy is the main thing, and he did get optioned down along with the other names. So I want you all to let me know in the comments what player are you most, disappointed that got sent down, or I guess you could also take the other turn, and which player have you been most impressed with out of this list? For me, it's of course got to be, Ricky Tiedemann had his great outings, but Jimmy Robbins, Sam Roberts, Hayden Jenger, Jimmy Burnett have all performed at a pretty good level in spring training. So it's unfortunate we're not going to be able to see them, but at the end of the day, the regular season is fast approaching. We are, again, only a couple weeks away from opening day, and it's going to be very, very exciting. We're a bit less than a month away from the home opener with all the Blue Jays, the Rogers Center renovations, and I just couldn't be more excited. I hope you guys are too. We're going to be covering it every single day for you, and Peter will hopefully be back in tomorrow's video or stream, and if not, then you'll see him at some point throughout this week. He's been super busy with work, but yeah, that'll wrap up this video. Thank you guys again for your support. It's been unbelievable. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 6,600 subscribers. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.